chose something different. I chose the impossible. I chose rapture.
Bioshock Remastered is an amazing experience. It oozes atmosphere and theme, aesthetics and narrative. This game is nearly 20 years old at this point, and it still holds up. While it does show its age in some places like visuals and UI, the characters remain vibrant, the gameplay fun, and the story is a masterclass on pacing and narrative. This game is good, so good in fact, I'm just going to give you my score now as not to spoil anything. It's a 4 out of 5, so go play it. If you like story-driven games, or have always wanted to play this but never did, or you just want to experience the classics of video games, go play this one now. It's not even that long of a game, especially if you aren't going to 100% it, so go and enjoy a great story. For those of you sticking around, let's dive into the depths of this masterpiece. Spoilers ahead. Alright, let's start off with visuals and audio. Now, this game was released originally in 2007, so obviously the graphics aren't going to look as neat and clean as newer games, but visually this game is fantastic. This game is the king of atmosphere and immersion. Everything ties back to the underwater setting, from the windows depicting the outside seascape, to water leaking in from breaks or pipes, to the coolest piece of immersion, the design of the big daddies. The audio is no slouch either. The music is great, and always there when needed to heighten the intense scenes, and always absent when the moment needs to breathe. The creepy, unearthly yapping of the little sisters always puts you on edge, and there are moments where the long, whale-like moan of a big daddy stops you in your tracks. That being said, the audio can be a bit much sometimes. I don't know if it was my settings or PC or what, but multiple audio events can trigger and overlap, creating a nightmare of sound. The enemies kind of know when you're around, like even through walls or like 2 or 3 rooms away, so if they sense you, they'll start reciting their dialogue lines. They'll start doing this even if a radio message or like an audio diary is playing, and if that happens, it just makes it really hard to focus on what the message is saying. And there's also a PA system in the game in a lot of levels, and if that happens to send out a message or an advertisement, like it just stacks on top of each other and makes it really annoying. Like, if this all happens at once, it makes for an auditory clusterfuck. Otherwise, the visuals and audio are both great, and they both do a great job of reinforcing the ideas and themes of Rapture, and they make it feel like a real place. Alright, let's get into the meat and potatoes of any game, the gameplay. So the main systems of the game are pretty normal, by today's standards, to get things, level them up, enhance them. But, it's still executed nicely. They drip feed you guns and plasmids and upgrades at a pretty consistent rate. So you never feel bored of something, or you never feel like you're lacking anything. You get a nice assortment of guns and powers. You have your standard like pistol and shotgun. You get your like more heavy firepower with like grenade launchers and a flamethrower. And the plasmids are cool. The electro bolt's really useful, but it's fun to like throw things around with telekinesis or freeze enemies with the winter blast. So you get a lot of variety and choice in how you do things. I did have some little gripes like with the default controls and some of the menus. On PC, right click is to change from your gun to your plasmid and back. And, in most shooting games, right click is like aim down sights or to do like a secondary fire. So switching between your gun and plasmid with right click took a little bit to get used to. Like switching from your plasmid back to your gun, scrolling down with mouse wheel to the gun you want, and then maybe like changing out an ammo to like a special ammo is kind of clunky, but it wasn't too bad. You can re-keybind anything in the game, so if there's anything really bothering you, you can fix it. So it's not a deal breaker. And the menus, they were serviceable, but a little bland. And the big thing here is that there was no way to see how much research you had on an enemy. And that was kind of annoying because they have like 5 different levels of research, but you couldn't really tell like what the research level was. So if you had taken a break from your last play session, it'd been a few days, you don't really remember, how far you've gotten. So again, not a deal breaker. That just would have been a little nice quality of life issues to be able to see how much research you've gotten so far on certain enemies. Hacking is a cool idea, and the minigame is fun enough at first, but it quickly drops off in interest which sucks because if you want to be efficient with your resources and money, you're incentivized to hack the vending machines and the ammo machines. And not to mention, hacking is the best way to take care of cameras, turrets, and drones. Luckily, this does get mitigated over time. The engineering tonics can offset the ramping difficulty of later hacks, and you can also make automatic hack tools if you find the resources, and you can even just buy out some of the hacks like a good little capitalist. And also, researching the turrets and drones with the research camera will eventually make it so that when you hack them, you automatically succeed. Speaking of the research camera, it's also a mixed bag. I love the idea of it and the implementation of it. I always like when games give in-world reasons and methods of doing something. Like, oh, you want to learn more about your enemies? Here, take pictures of them with this era-appropriate camera. But, this also does become a bit more of a chore than a cool thing to do because you just have to take so many pictures to get the research levels. And of course, taking a picture of the same enemy gives diminishing returns, so you don't really get anything for it. So it's a cool idea, but just like the hacking, after a while, it gets kind of tedious. This game is also interesting because it doesn't really do bosses. I mean, the big daddies are kind of like boss fights. They feel tough and important when you first spar with them. But otherwise, including the final boss, there are really only 4 characters that I would consider bosses. That would be Dr. Steinman, Peach Wilkins, Sander Cohen, and then of course Fontaine. But technically, you don't even have to fight Sander Cohen, so really there are only 3 bosses. The other big moments where you feel like a boss would be are usually just like doing a gauntlet of enemies or defending some kind of point. And at the end, there is one, escort mission. And escort missions just have been historically annoying and mostly badly implemented. This one's no different. The little sister will body block you all the time, constantly get in the way, and it's just really, really annoying.
What am I caught on? Fuck off! Stay behind me!
This also happens with drones that you've hacked, by the way, and that are following you around. They can body block you indoors, they can trip you up, and so you're trying to get away from an enemy, they're in the way. It's just, the body blocking is a real problem. Unlike the little sister, at least the drones and the turrets fight back. And actually the turret or the bot strategy is really strong. The bots will tank enemies for you, even big daddies or bosses. The very first boss fight with Steinman, if you take a bot in there, he'll just shoot at the bot for almost all the fight until he destroys it, and you can just shoot him and kill him very easily. So it's a really good strategy that just lets you kind of kill everything. The bosses themselves, besides Fontaine, are just souped up versions of regular enemies though. Steinman is a leatherhead splicer, Peach is a nitro splicer, and Sander is a Houdini splicer. And so they're not too much tougher than the regular enemies. Even the last boss fight isn't much of a challenge, honestly. I did 2 playthroughs, one on medium difficulty and one on the hardest difficulty. And both times I one-shot the boss because just nothing was happening. Not enough damage was being done. So I don't know what happened with the fight design, but it really feels like an underwhelming boss battle. A lot of times, especially on your first playthrough, the big daddies will feel harder than the last boss does. The maps are plain but functional. The level designs are pretty straightforward. There's one level, Arcadia, which is a bit of a maze if you're not constantly looking at your map, especially the first time through there. But otherwise, it's not too bad. But again, the levels themselves, the visuals of the levels are great, right? Every level feels like a part of Rapture. Rapture feels like a lived-in place. Every level, also has its own theme, and it helps tie the level to the particular character or antagonist of that level. The 2 standouts here are the very first level, the medical pavilion with Dr. Steinman, and Fort Frolic with Sander Cohen. Fort Frolic is a great place. That place and Sander Cohen are probably my favorite parts about Rapture besides the overall story. He's a great character. I love his creepy vibe. I love the weird shit he does. I love that he sends you on little side quests to work for him. So that is a really, really cool and well-designed level and a great character. All right, let's talk about the story. This is where the game truly shines. Andrew Ryan, an uber capitalist, builds Rapture, an underwater city where the market reigns supreme. And you arrive smack dab in the middle of a civil war between Ryan and a man named Atlas. The opening to the game is fantastic and paced really well. You know, we get a little mystery at the beginning with the plane crash and the lighthouse. We go into the submersible, and as we're traveling, we're introduced to Andrew Ryan, and we kind of get his vibe, right? We learn about his ideology, and that first reveal of Rapture, right, coming up over the hill and the screen going up and the city is before you. It's still really cool. It's still really, really cool. And the first opening bit with the spider slicer attacking that guy that was sent to get you, and then she attacks the submersible like she's trying to get in, right? That's still really scary. The introduction of the little sisters and the big daddies, that's great. That establishes the creepy horror vibe of the place. So it's all really well done. And the story just works on so many levels, right? It works as just a solid story. It works as a meta commentary on player choice in games and how there really isn't all that much. How we're just kind of slaves to whatever the developers have chosen to put in the game and what path they want us to be on. It works as a dissection of unrestrained capitalism and the pitfalls of amorality. The Would You Kindly reveal is still one of the best in games, in my opinion. Right? I love Andrew Ryan's monologue in that scene. It's very powerful.
A man chooses, a slave obeys.
And not only can this moment be seen as him trying to like break you out of your mind control and bring you back to humanity, but it's also like a moment of defiance for him, right? He chooses his death, right? He doesn't run, he doesn't attack you, he stands his ground. He, as a man, he faces his death, right? He chose. And as much of a piece of shit as Andrew Ryan is, you know, he does live his ideology. He has conviction and he possesses an iron will.
Obey!
I was kind of disappointed that harvesting the little sisters didn't affect Tenenbaum more. I mean, she does have some like snide remarks for you, and she kind of yells at you, but I was hoping she would like become an optional boss, you know, and like fight you, because even if you harvest the little sisters, she still helps you, right? Midway through the game, you go to the sanctuary, the little sisters still guide you, so I mean, we do get a bad ending if you harvest the girls, but I was kind of hoping for a little bit more, especially for Tenenbaum. Like, she is so tied to the little sisters, and she is like the one redeemable character in Rapture, it seems, at least from most of the characters we meet, like the main characters. She's like the one person who's like trying to do good now. And so if you take that away from her, I was kind of hoping to see her like, you know, be a bit spiteful, but it is what it is. The audio diaries are a great way to add to the world of Rapture and tell little side stories. You know, they're audio, so you don't need to stop and read anything. They're quick, they're concise, they're great for filling in gaps or tacking on little moments for characters. I especially really enjoyed the Diane McClintock side story. You know, we meet her in the opening stages of the game, right? We find her first audio log there. Throughout the game, where we pick up more audio logs from her, and we actually get to see her journey, right? She goes through some character development, right, from Andrew Ryan's vain side piece to a revolutionary fighter, and like for many people in Rapture, a tragic end. But yeah, I really liked her side story, and I think the audio diaries are a great way to add to the world of Rapture. Now, after nearly 20 years, I'm sure this point has been talked about to death, but the city of Rapture and the character of Andrew Ryan is based a lot on objectivism and like libertarianism from the author Ayn Rand, from her books like The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged. I mean, Andrew Ryan kind of sounds like Ayn Rand, right? They both have initials AR. Fontaine sounds like fountain, and Atlas is just a direct reference to Atlas Shrugged. Now, I don't really want to get into a big philosophical dissection of objectivism or Ayn Rand, because one, that's outside the scope of this review, and two, I would be ill-equipped for that. But I do think a surface level reading of the story, or like an initial takeaway that someone might have, and the wrong takeaway, I would argue, is atheism bad? This story isn't really about religion versus non-religion. It's about restraint versus unrestrained. Like, what does unrestrained capitalism look like? Well, then you get people like Frank Fontaine and Andrew Ryan. Frank Fontaine is a literal con man, just trying to get everything he can as quick as he can. Andrew Ryan, while not a con man per se, he doesn't give a shit about you unless you're producing something. And he's willing to sell oxygen to people, right? He sells the excess oxygen from his underground, his underwater forest. What does unrestrained art look like? Well, then you get Sander Cohen, who is torturing people for the perfect performance. He's literally making art out of living human beings. What does unrestrained science look like? Then you get Dr. Tenenbaum and Dr. Suchong willing to turn little girls into these horrible monsters. You get Dr. Steinman, who goes mad in his pursuit for perfection, right? Science Gone Wrong is a classic story. Frankenstein, Jurassic Park, we were too busy thinking whether we could. We didn't stop to think if we should. So it's not about religion versus non-religion. It's about rules versus no rules, right? And religion is kind of the quickest and easiest way to get rules and restraint because it all comes built in. But there are, humanist ideologies or non-religious ideologies that also have rules and restraints. So, it is possible to do that without religion. I would just think that if your takeaway is atheism bad, religion good, or religion bad, atheism good, I think that's a very surface level reading of the story. I do find it interesting that Andrew Ryan ironically names everything after Greek and Roman gods like Hephaestus and Neptune and Apollo and all these things. Even the city name, right, Rapture, right, it evokes the rapture, right, people getting taken away up to the heavens from the world. And these people, they assumedly they voluntarily went, but they left their lives on the land, right? They were carried away down to Rapture, to this underwater city. So it's kind of the same thing, except they're going down instead of up, right? They're going deep into the depths instead of ascending into the heavens. All right, let's talk about the additional content of the game. So there are 3 challenge levels, and there's also a little museum that you can go into. It's a separate thing on the menu. You go into the museum, and you can see early sketches of enemies or early designs of the big daddies. It's really cool. If you like to kind of look into the behind the scenes of games, it's a really nice addition. And the challenge levels are also great. I really enjoyed. The first 2 are puzzles. You have to figure out how to do things in them, and that's a great change of pace from the regular game. And the third one, is like a gauntlet, like an all or nothing thing, and that's fun too. So, I really liked. It's not much, but I really liked the additional content they had. All right, let's get to the main event here. How does this game feel to 100%? Well, all in all, this wasn't a particularly hard or grindy 100% to complete. It was fairly easy, right? The only things that I decided to look up were the locations of a few of the audio tapes and 8 of the collectible roses in the challenge levels, which is, fine. Personally, I don't really care about spending hours hunting down all collectibles on my own. I've done that enough in my youth with Ubisoft games, so, looking up a few here and there, no problem for me. The only achievement that was a little tricky was getting the achievement on the 3rd challenge level, where you have to beat all the rooms without using any guns. But once you realize the trick, that you just need to take pictures, spend 20 minutes taking a bunch of pictures until you get the damage increases and the 50% wrench damage buff, then that is a relatively easy challenge to complete. So nothing too bad. And the fact that you can save just kind of makes all of the quote-unquote hard achievements really easy. On the challenge levels, right, if you have a good run, you're making good time, you can just constantly save it and reload that save and just continue on and not lose progress. When you're doing the no Vita Chambers achievement, that's kind of made moot by the fact that you can just load up a save if you die. And really, you don't even have to load up a save. All it does is if you die, you're sent back to the last autosave and you lose whatever progress you had made. But if you're constantly autosaving and constantly saving, you don't lose that much progress. Like, it would be one thing if it was like a hardcore mode where it's like when you die, you're dead and you start over from the beginning. That would be a little tough. But the fact that you can just kind of save scum your way through it, it kind of makes the challenge like a little too easy in my opinion. And plus, if you do 2 playthroughs, like if you do a regular playthrough and then you do the Survivor playthrough and you do it on New Game Plus, it makes the Survivor achievement even easier because you have access to all your powerful guns earlier. You have access to your upgraded plasmids, all the money and ammo you had. So it's really not too hard of a game to 100%. You technically can do everything in one run if you start on Survivor and you get everything in one go, because there is actually no achievement for the bad ending. There's only an achievement for saving all the little sisters. There's no achievement for harvesting them all, but there is an achievement for saving them all. So if you start on Survivor and you save all the little sisters and you get all the collectibles and everything, you can actually do all the achievements in one go. But all in all, not a hard 100% to get, but it was enjoyable. So there you have it, everyone. Bioshock Remastered is still a great experience even today. While it's a bit on the shorter side and a bit dated in its looks, I believe its story still holds up and can go toe-to-toe with most other games these days, because ultimately, it's about ideas and themes that we all experience and struggle with. Now, this leg of the journey is complete. This fool is going to go rest up at the inn here, get some mutton and meat. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, it's the Royal Herald. Let's see what the king has decided. By royal proclamation, His Majesty the King has decreed that Bioshock Remastered is 4 out of 5 and the Knight of the Realm. His Eminence wishes you safe travels on the road ahead. Long live the King. Hello, fellow travelers. If you liked what you saw, you can help out the channel by leaving a comment, sharing the videos, like, subscribe, or toss some coin to your friendly neighborhood jester. Regardless of what you do, be safe, be kind, and I'll see you down the road.